So welcome back to the Happiness series, and today's 7 of part 3. Now I wonder how you've been getting on over the last few days, just in looking for those opportunities to really, celebrate the success and the happiness of others, and just seeing kind of how that feels. As I say, we're already used to doing it with people close to us in our lives, and sometimes the sense of enjoyment can be very tied up with a sense of relief. So when somebody tells us they've kind of heard that, I don't know, they're not as unwell as they thought they might have been, or that something hasn't happened, negatively, that they were expecting to happen, we share their sense of relief, we share their sense of enjoyment. But it's quite a subtle sort of difference, that next level where they really start to excel in something. Maybe it's a relationship which is really sort of flourishing, which causes us to examine our own either lack of relationship or choice not to be in a relationship, or a relationship which is difficult for us in some way. That the reflection of that is somehow painful, and therefore we feel a sense of envy or jealousy towards the person. Or it may be in a hobby, a pursuit, an activity, maybe in a career, in a job. When we see somebody really excelling, it's an area that perhaps we would like to excel more in ourselves. And therefore what we're doing, we're projecting our own wishes, our own desires onto that, comparing, and therefore taking something away from that person in our mind, rather than throwing our weight of excitement and enthusiasm and enjoyment behind that person and really celebrating that and therefore sharing in that experience. Instead, we're wishing that we had it instead of them, and immediately that prevents us from experiencing that sense of enjoyment, of sharing in their excitement. And this is something really to start to notice. It comes out in really subtle ways, but just start to notice when somebody shares some positive news with you. How do you react? We'll come back to this at the end of today's exercise. But for now, just take a moment to get comfortable. And when you're ready in your own time, you can just start with some nice big deep breaths. And with the next exhalation, just closing the eyes. And just starting to notice each of the physical senses. And now just scanning down through the body. So just in a sentence or two, just being aware of your intention now. I'm really starting to appreciate just how this can have a positive impact on the people around you and perhaps even further out than that. And just bringing the attention to the breath now as you start to tune into that rising and falling sensation and just resting the attention on the breath there. And when you're ready now, still an awareness of that movement of the breath, but just bringing to mind the beginning of that visualization, and then just watching as it unfolds. And with the next out breath, just letting go of any images in the mind now. Letting go of any focus on the breath and just allowing the mind to be free. And just bringing the attention back to the body now. As you start to become a little bit more familiar with the environment, the space around you. In your own time, moving from one sensation to the next. Opening the eyes when you feel ready, just blinking a few times to refocus. Notice how you feel in this moment. Aware, no matter how you feel, aware of the benefit of being present, conscious of that feeling. And just putting in that intention to be aware throughout the day today. And when you've done that, just sitting back in the chair, on the floor, wherever it is you're sitting today. And I'd just like to pick up, before we finish, pick up on that idea I mentioned at the beginning of today's exercise of how you react when other people give you good news about themselves or about people kind of close to them perhaps. So what is the response? And you might like to look at this from a very sort of personal point of view. It might be with people that you live with, be a partner, family member, somebody who you share your life with very closely. When they come home at the end of the day, or when you get home if that person's been at home, and they share some positive news with you. Do you find yourself sharing their excitement? Or do you dismiss it in some way? Do you take the wind out of their sails? And what about at work or in social occasions? Do you find yourself perhaps outwardly expressing delight for the person, but secretly inside kind of wishing it was different, or wishing it was you, or thinking the person didn't deserve it? Just starting to notice these patterns. Again, these things don't mean we're bad people. It doesn't mean there's anything kind of wrong with the way that we think. It's just that there has been a pattern which will have developed often without us really even kind of knowing it or being conscious of it. And of course, training in awareness, training in mindfulness, we start to become more conscious, more aware. We start to see these things, and in seeing them, we're able to let go of them. So this is the starting place, if